Raywat Deonandan, epidemiologist and science communicator, joining us. It's always good to talk to you. Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, stage 3. We ready in your opinion?
Yeah, I think we are, depending upon, what stage 3 actually entails. The details are still sparse, but as I'm fond of saying, there are a few metrics that we look at. Number one being this thing called the reproduction number, which is the average number of new cases produced by an old case, and it's trending in the right direction. It's below 1, which is what we want across the province. Number 2 is the number of new cases produced every day. And it's about 130 right now, and that's been steady, around 130, 150 for the last few days, which is good. And next is the percent of tests that come back positive. So the daily rate in Ontario is about 0.5%. And overall, we have a total percent of the tests done, about 2% is positive. That's fantastic. I aim for 1 or 2%. So the fact that it's under 1 is a good sign. So I think now's the time.
I was reporting on CTV Morning Live this morning, 25,000 tests were done yesterday. That's big, no?
That's great. And It's a shame it took us this long to get there. We should have been 25,000 months ago, but yeah, it's good.
And we have great results as a result in terms of the numbers, as you just cited there. So when it happens, are we ready province-wide, or do you think Windsor, Toronto, the normal trouble spots will keep making news?
Yeah, the normal trouble spots will continue to be trouble spots. And I like the staged approach. We try it out in the low-risk areas, as it were, and see how things unfold and see what goes from there. So it's the right approach to the one-size-fits-all is never going to be appropriate here. We got to do it in stages.
Although, if you look at Kingston, where the numbers were low, then they had that nail salon outbreak. I think it was 30-plus people. It's apparently under control. So that we can expect that to happen. It's how we handle it.
Exactly right. This is all about learning from our past experiences and deploying the appropriate public health measures to descend upon those cases when they happen.
As you know, the province of Quebec is in stage 3. I was in Montreal over the weekend. I went to a restaurant. It was a covered patio that in the winter they close the roof and it becomes indoor. But because it's nice and warm out, it was a patio. So I was sitting there, tables nicely spaced, the staff, properly protected, face masks and face visors. And then as the night went on, people started recognizing their friends at other tables. And you know what happened? You know what they love to do in Quebec? Kiss on both cheeks and hug. And the bubble infection was spreading quickly, and we all felt uncomfortable at my table. Are you not worried about that?
Yes, I'm very worried about that. In fact, I'm more worried about bars than anything else. And we're seeing in the U.S. is the new cases exploding as the economy opens there. It was essentially in bars and nightclubs. So that's when strangers gather intimately and alcohol starts to flow, your defenses come down a bit more, you forget to take precautions, and bad things can happen.
Outside versus inside, even when you're in a scenario like that, it doesn't matter. If you're too close, you're too close, right?
Well, outside helps a lot. Let's not underestimate that. But yeah, it's not useful if you're spending an extended period of time intimately with somebody else and breathing on your face.
So yesterday I went for brunch at another place in Montreal, because that's what you do on Sunday morning in Montreal, before you head back on the 417 to Ottawa. And it was interesting. It was an outdoor terrace, again, covered, but we had plexiglass barriers between us. The tables weren't spaced as widely as the night before, but there was this sheet of plexiglass to my left, to my right, very close to the table, actually, behind my friend and behind me. And the waiters would sort of navigate through the openings to serve us food. Is that good versus the spacing? Because it wasn't.
I think that's
we weren't
really
6 feet
good.
apart.
I mean, that's like being in your own private room.
Yeah.
So I got no problem with that at all. That's a great idea.
Now, the fact is also, my friend who I was with and we know each other, but if you're at a table with 8 people, which happens as well the night before the restaurant, and you got to take their word for it, should you still take precautions? And it was hard to do in this little plexiglass bubble if it were 8 of us.
I mean, that's a personal choice, obviously.
Okay.
And as the case numbers come down, remember, the probability of encountering someone who has this infection is low.
Yeah.
So you're probably fine. So you've got to balance, maintaining your relationship by not questioning your friends' adherence policies to protecting yourself. I would say just, always take precautions to protect yourself and your loved ones, but that's a personal choice.
No hugging.
That's right.
No kissing. All that we did. We followed. Okay, good. If they reopen gyms today, how are you going to feel about that? Here.
Okay, so gyms, that's a tough one, obviously, because people have to stay fit. I mean, you maintain your health and your immunity by being strong and fit. But some things in gyms I don't think are going to be safe. Aerobics classes and spin classes, probably not a good idea. The machines you can make safe. You can wipe them down. You can avoid touching the machine, then your face. You can have a few number of people in a room at a time and maybe avoid change rooms. I don't know if change rooms are open, but I'm assuming they're not. So
why avoid
possible?
Them? Why change rooms?
Well, because you're probably spreading bodily fluids around, it's hard to be distant in a shower, things like that. So I don't think that's wise.
I get spin class. Things are flying. What about yoga?
Oh, that's an interesting one. It depends on the size of the room. It comes down to that, a number of people in there.
So if you have enough space, and is it 2 meters all around you? Like, they put your hands out, and if you can't reach anybody, I mean, we've got to keep it simple, right?
Yeah, you got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
I mean, and the 2 meter rule, that's not a natural law handed down by the gods. That's an average put forth by scientists. In some countries say 1 meter, but in general, 1 to 2 meters. Okay. And wear a mask if that's amenable.
Okay. I saw someone jogging in a mask yesterday.
That's a bit too much.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you don't really need that, but if it signals safety and if it's a psychological thing, then go for it, but it's not necessary.
Have you seen people driving with masks on?
I have, and I've questioned some people on social media about it, and they say, well, if they're running in and out of stores for errands, it's easier to keep the mask on. Or maybe they're Uber drivers and they're being safe.
Right. Yeah, forget about that. That's necessary, right? You shouldn't get in an Uber unless they're wearing a mask.
That's right.
Movie theaters. I'd love to go back to the movies.
That is a tough one. So they're going to take a huge hit economically in the coming months. Absolutely. It's possible to open a movie theater with like extreme spacing of people, maybe putting up plexiglass seals. It's possible.
Okay. To be seen. I want to ask you it's a little complicated, but I want you to put in layman's terms. Medical researchers and supercomputers are turning genetic labs into virus detective agencies. They're looking first to find the coronavirus itself within blood samples from thousands of infected patients across Canada, and then comparing all of those isolated viruses to each other, looking for places where they differ. What are they looking for?
Whoa, that's news to me, but if I had to guess, I would say they're looking possibly for mutations.
Okay.
Possibly for different manifestations of the disease in different populations, because we're all different. You may be looking to detect signals that are undetectable in one sample that maybe if you pool them, you're getting a larger detectable process. And that requires a large processing capacity. So it's inspiring to see that we're bringing to bear the tools of the 21st century. Up to this point, we've been relying upon 19th and 18th century technologies, really, masks and distancing, that sort of stuff. So I'm glad that now the space age is coming to grips with this, and I expect good things to come of it.
Do you worry about, I don't know if we call it COVID-19 2.0 or COVID-20, but do you worry about it coming back stronger?
Yes and no. I think we have actually a good grip of what we need to do with this disease, and the 19th century technologies work for any disease pretty much. The distancing and the face mask wearing and hand hygiene. I'm worried about the pandemics coming around the corner that maybe we haven't thought about yet.
Tell me more about that, because I've heard someone else say that. I'm thinking, of course they come every so often, but why would they not be worse than what we've now faced?
Well, there will be worse. And we've been predicting a bad pandemic for decades now, and this really is not it.
No, don't tell me that. It's going to be worse than this?
It can be. An a really bad influenza virus might actually have a better purchase in our society. Again, this is all speculation.
Right, of course.
And I like to think of it as we're learning so much about what we can do now that when the next big one comes, we'll have a better set of tools and experiences to put to bear. So as we have greater globalization, faster travel, more intimate contact with large numbers of people encroaching into the natural habitats of previously unexplored areas, we're going to discover more diseases, and they're going to find purchase in human society much, much faster. This is well known. So it's unavoidable. What isn't avoidable is we can make the right steps now to minimize that risk. And the first step is surveillance. Are we looking for these things? And we should be. And in some cases we are. But in the last few years, we've sort of taken our foot off the pedal and haven't been investing sufficiently in surveillance programs.
In some ways, are we lucky that we haven't been having to mask ourselves up until now? I mean, things we took for granted, Doctor.
Are you talking about over the last few decades?
Yeah, well, no, just in the last 3 months. And when was the last time we had to worry about something that would change our lives so drastically?
Yeah.
Long time. Spanish flu, I guess, right?
Absolutely. And in some ways, maybe we should have been masking the last 3 months. I mean, as you know, I'm of the opinion that had we adopted masks earlier, we probably would not be in as serious a situation. Yeah. So We're kind of lucky that this hasn't happened yet. I mean, many of us were expecting a pandemic-level influenza infection like the Spanish flu years ago, and that didn't manifest. But it still might. Don't hold your breath.
Okay. Well, hey, look, as you know, it's we're all watching closely, and hopefully we're learning along the way, as you said, and that those who are in charge are up with the latest and cutting-edge ways to deal with it.
I'm an optimist. I'm very much an optimist here, and I see that we're learning so much and responding so well that things will go well for the next round.
Which is great. I mean, even if we were a little overprotective, it's better safe than sorry, because it could have gone very differently. Look an hour south of us.
Oh, God, yes. We're doing well.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway message. We're doing well.
Love it. Dr. Raywat Deonandan, epidemiologist and science communicator. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
10-4.